Hey, 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 welcome back to the English Coffee Talk Show. I'm Eva, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co host, James. How are you doing today, James?
Eva, I am doing okay. I am doing okay. I say okay because I had quite the morning. Quite the morning.
Oh no, already? What happened? Tell me everything.
Okay, so I go to this little coffee shop near my apartment, right? The one on the corner with the green door. I've been going there for like 2 years. The barista knows my name, knows my order, large Americano, no sugar. Like we have a whole routine going.
Yeah, your coffee spot. I know the one.
So I walk in this morning totally on autopilot, right? Half asleep, and I go up to the counter and I just say, the usual, please, like I always do. And the barista, she looks at me and she goes, I'm sorry, sir, I'm new here. I started today. And I stood there, completely frozen, like a computer that stopped working. I didn't know what to do. I had no backup plan. I literally had to look at the menu board for the first time in 2 years, and I didn't even recognize half the things on it.
No. Oh my goodness. That is okay. I'm sorry. That is so funny. You really didn't know your own coffee order? Like, you couldn't just say a large Americano, no sugar?
Honestly, in that moment, no. My brain completely blanked. It was like, when you try to remember a word and it's right there on the tip of your tongue, but it just won't come out? It was exactly like that, except the word was my own coffee order. And there was a line of 5 people behind me. I could feel them staring at the back of my head.
Oh, the pressure. So, what did you end up ordering?
I panicked and pointed at something on the menu that said seasonal special, and it turned out to be a lavender oat milk latte with vanilla foam, which, actually wasn't bad. But I felt like a completely different person drinking it, like I didn't know who I was anymore.
A lavender oat milk latte. James, that is so far from an Americano. That's like the opposite of an Americano. Oh, wow. I love that for you, honestly. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe you needed a little change in your routine.
Maybe. I went back to the Americano today, but for one morning, I was a lavender latte guy, and honestly, I kind of get it now. I get why people order those. What about you? How's your morning been?
My morning was actually really calm, which is a big deal for me, honestly. I made breakfast, like a real breakfast, eggs and everything, and I sat down and ate it at the table instead of eating it standing over the sink like some kind of raccoon.
The standing over the sink breakfast experience is so real. I can't even judge you for that. I've been there many times.
Right? It's like you tell yourself, oh, I'll just have a quick bite, and then somehow you're just hovering over the kitchen counter eating toast at a weird angle. But today was different. And actually, James, that's a perfect little segue. A segue, by the way, means a smooth transition from one topic to another into what we're talking about on today's episode.
Oh, smooth. Very smooth, Eva. Very natural.
Thank you. I try. So, today on the English Coffee Talk Show, we are diving into the topic of healthy habits to change your life. And I am genuinely excited about this one because it's such a rich, juicy topic?
Juicy, yes, like a well-hydrated piece of fruit, which, speaking of healthy habits, is already very on brand for today.
Exactly. And here's why we really wanted to do this episode. Especially for all of you who are learning English, healthy habits is a topic that comes up constantly in everyday life. You hear it in conversations with friends, you read about it in articles and blogs, you see it in social media posts, you watch it in documentaries. It is everywhere. So not only are we going to talk about habits that could genuinely make you feel better, but we're also going to give you the language, the words, the phrases, the idioms that native speakers use when they talk about health and wellness. 2 birds, 1 stone.
2 birds, 1 stone, and hey, that's already our first idiom of the day. That means you accomplish 2 things at the same time with one action. Like you improve your health and your English at the same time just by listening to us. You're welcome. Okay, so speaking of all these habits, I feel like we should get real and personal now, because I think what really helps people connect with the topic is hearing actual stories, not just facts and tips. And Eva, I know you have quite a story about your morning routine, or, well, your lack of one for a very long time.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're going there. Yeah, we're going there. Okay, so my relationship with mornings, where do I even begin? Okay, so for a very long time, I'm talking years, I was genuinely terrible at mornings. And I don't mean, oh, I'm a little slow in the mornings, I need my coffee first. I mean, I was catastrophically bad at getting up and starting my day in any kind of organized way.
Catastrophically. Okay, I love the honesty. Go on.
So my alarm would go off and I had it set for 6:30, which looking back was already ambitious. And the moment I heard it, my hand would just automatically, without me even consciously deciding to do it, reach over and hit the snooze button. Every single morning, without fail. And then I'd go back to sleep. And 10 minutes later, it would go off again, and I'd hit snooze again. And this would repeat. I think at peak terrible morning Eva, I was hitting snooze about 5 or 6 times. Exactly, on autopilot. And that's actually a great English phrase. When you do something on autopilot, it means you do it automatically, without really thinking. Like a plane flying on autopilot. It moves forward without the pilot actively controlling every little thing. And my snooze button habit was completely on autopilot. And the knock-on effect, consequences that follow, was that my whole morning was just rushed and chaotic. I'd leap out of bed in a panic, skip breakfast entirely because there was no time, throw on whatever clothes were closest, and then basically sprint out the door feeling frazzled.
Frazzled. That's such a good word. It means stressed and exhausted, kind of frantic and scattered, like your nerves are all over the place.
Perfectly put. I was frazzled every single morning. And the really difficult part was that starting your day that way, in a rush, stressed, hungry, it set the tone for the entire day. I'd arrive at work or sit down at my desk already feeling behind, already feeling like I was catching up. And that feeling would just linger, meaning it would stay around, it would hang over me for most of the morning. And I was grumpy. I didn't want to be grumpy, but I was.
I think so many people are going to relate to that. The idea that the morning sets the tone. It really does. So when did you decide to change? And more importantly, how?
What finally worked for me was not trying to do everything at once. What worked was starting with just one tiny thing. The first thing I changed, and it sounds almost too simple, was I moved my phone charger to the other side of the room. So my phone, which was my alarm, was no longer right next to my bed, and that meant I had to physically get up and walk across the room to turn it off. And once I was up and standing, it was much harder to just collapse back into bed.
Oh, that's clever. That is genuinely clever. It's like you use a trick against your own laziness.
Exactly. You have to work with your brain, not against it. And then the second change I made, after maybe 2 weeks of the phone thing feeling more natural, was I started preparing my clothes the night before. So there was no decision making in the morning, no standing in front of my wardrobe and a half awake daze going, what do I wear? Where's everything? It was all laid out, done, decided. And that removed a tiny bit of friction. Friction meaning resistance, things that slow you down from the morning. Exactly. And over time, these little changes compounded. Compounded means they built on each other, they grew. After about a month of these small adjustments, I was actually getting up within the first or second alarm. I had time to make a real breakfast. I'd sit and eat it. I'd even sometimes have 10 minutes to just sit with my coffee and not do anything. And the difference in how I felt starting my day that way versus the old frazzled sprint out the doorway, it was night and day. Night and day is an idiom meaning a very dramatic, very clear difference between two things.
Night and day. I love that. And it's so inspiring because you didn't need some massive willpower overhaul. You just made it easier to do the right thing. Okay, so now I guess it's my turn. And I will say up front, my story is slightly more embarrassing than Ava's, which is saying something.
Oh, I'm ready. I am absolutely ready.
Okay, so water, H2O, the clear stuff, the most basic essential substance that the human body needs to function. For a very long time, embarrassingly long time, I barely drank any of it.
What do you mean, barely any? Like, how much?
Okay, so the general recommendation is around 2 liters of water a day. On a good day, and I mean a really good day, I was maybe hitting half a liter. On a normal day, probably a few sips. That's it. A few sips of water. I was basically surviving on coffee and whatever liquid was in other drinks. I wasn't deliberately avoiding water, I just never thought about it. It never occurred to me to drink water.
Oh, wow, James, that is actually kind of shocking. I mean, your body is like 60% water. How did you not feel terrible?
That's the thing. I thought I felt fine. I thought I felt normal. I had headaches fairly often, but I just thought that was, part of being a person. I was often tired, but I blamed work. My skin was kind of dry, but I just thought that was my skin. I had no idea that almost everything I was complaining about could be traced back to just not drinking enough water. I didn't connect the dots.
Didn't connect the dots, meaning you didn't see how different things were related to the same root cause. That's another great phrase for our listeners to note down, by the way.
Exactly. I just wasn't connecting the dots at all. And then the incident. So I was in an important work meeting, like a big one, presenting in front of several colleagues and some people from another company. And about 20 minutes in, I developed this absolutely brutal headache, like throbbing behind my eyes. And I could feel myself losing focus, losing track of my sentences. And I knew it was a dehydration headache. I know that now. But in the moment, I just thought I was falling apart.
And so what did you do? How did you actually make the change?
So the first thing I did was buy a big water bottle. And I mean big. One of those ones that holds a liter of water. And I put it on my desk right next to my keyboard. So every time I looked up from my screen, I saw the water bottle. It became visual. It was always in my line of sight. And that made a huge difference because the main reason I wasn't drinking water was simply that I forgot. I just didn't think about it. It never occurred to me to drink water.
Okay, so I think it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show. Are you ready, James?
Always ready.
It's time for our Key Things We Learned Today segment. This is where we pull together the best takeaways from the episode, practical tips and vocabulary highlights into one nice, clear summary. Think of it as your revision moment, your little study break within the show. Let's do tips first, then vocab. James, kick us off.
Okay, habit tip number 1. Start small. This came up again and again today, and it's genuinely the most important thing. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one thing, do it consistently for 2 weeks, then add another. Small changes compound over time and become big results. Trying to overhaul everything in 1 week is a recipe for giving up.
Love that. Tip number 2, reduce friction. Make the healthy habit easy to do. If you want to drink more water, put a bottle on your desk. If you want to exercise in the morning, sleep in your workout clothes. I'm serious, some people do this. If you want to eat better, keep fruit washed and ready in the fridge. Remove the obstacles, make the good habit the path of least resistance.
Path of least resistance, meaning the easiest option, the route that requires the least effort. Great phrase. Tip number 3, protect your sleep. Seriously, aim for 7 to 9 hours. Create a wind down routine. That means a set of calming things you do before bed to signal to your brain that it's time to sleep. Avoid screens an hour before bed if you can, because the blue light from screens interferes with your body's natural sleep signals.
And tip number 4, be patient with yourself. Building habits takes time. Research suggests it takes anywhere from 3 weeks to 2 months for a new behavior to feel automatic. So if you slip up, and you will sometimes, we all do, don't throw everything out and start from scratch. Just pick it back up. Progress, not perfection. I love that saying. Progress, not perfection.
Turn over a new leaf. This means to make a fresh start, to change your behavior and begin acting in a better way. The leaf here refers to a page in a book, turning over a new page, starting something fresh. You might say, I've decided to turn over a new leaf this year and focus on my health. It's an incredibly positive idiom. It suggests that no matter how you've behaved or what your habits have been, you can always choose to start fresh.
Turn over a new leaf. I love that one to end on because that is truly the spirit of this whole episode, right? No matter where you are right now, whether your habits are great or whether you're the old James surviving on no water and energy drinks, you can always turn over a new leaf. Today, right now, with one small choice.
Beautifully put. Okay, are we ready for the outro?
We are. Okay, wonderful people, that is a wrap on today's episode of the English Coffee Talk Show. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. I really hope that today's conversation gave you something useful, whether that's a new healthy habit to try, a phrase that clicked into place, or just the warm feeling of listening to two people have an honest, imperfect, very human conversation in English.
And hey, if you're an English learner, I just want to say you are doing something really brave and really impressive every time you press play on a show like this. Listening to natural, unscripted English conversation, well, mostly unscripted, is one of the best things you can do for your language skills. So give yourself credit for that, seriously.
100%. Language learning is a journey, and it takes patience, courage, and consistency. Just like healthy habits, actually. And just like habits, the key is to keep showing up. Even when it feels slow, even when you don't understand everything, just keep showing up and you will get there.
Now, and this is important, if you enjoyed today's episode and you want to be part of this community, please subscribe to the English Coffee Talk Show wherever you listen to your podcast. It takes about 2 seconds, and it means you'll never miss a new episode. And honestly, it means the world to us because it helps more people find the show.
And if you could turn on notifications, that bell icon or the notification settings in your app, that means you'll get an alert the moment a new episode drops. We release new episodes every week, so you definitely don't want to miss out. And if you have a moment to leave us a review, especially on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, even just a sentence or two, it genuinely helps new listeners find us. Every single review matters.
Okay, and before we go, a little teaser for our next episode. We can't say too much yet, but let's just say it involves a very relatable topic that pretty much everyone has a strong opinion about. It's going to be a lively one. It might get a little controversial. We're very excited.
Very excited. And there will, as always, be great English vocabulary, natural conversation, and hopefully at least one embarrassing story from James.
Almost certainly. I am a reliable source of embarrassing stories. It's basically my contribution to the show.
It really is, and we appreciate it deeply. Okay, everyone, thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. Keep learning, keep growing, keep drinking your water. James, that especially applies to you, and we will see you next week right here on the English Coffee Talk Show. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. And remember, progress, not perfection. See you next time.